Welcome back to Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame and Stanford. Today's game presented to you by Dell. And the series history, Notre Dame leads 14-6. They won the last 4 meetings between the two. It was a tough one last year as Notre Dame won to go to the BCS Fiesta Bowl and get the big payday. And today's game brought to you in high definition. Hope you're enjoying the game in high def. As Belch is set to kick off, Derek Belch of Stanford. Stanford won the toss and deferred to the second half. And Charlie Weiss will get the ball to begin the game. Beautiful day. You see not a cloud in the sky above Notre Dame Stadium. Stanford in their road white uniforms. That's Belch who will kick it off. And a look at West, who is deep with Walls for Notre Dame. George West, the freshman who scored a rushing touchdown against Purdue last week, his first in an Irish uniform. Here's the kick by Belch, and we're underway at Notre Dame Stadium. Angling on the kick, it's Walls.
Did he call a fair catch?
Looked like he waved and called for a fair catch. Fumbled the ball, picked it up, and then is swamped at the 10-yard line.
Well, that's a good start for Stanford, I'll tell you right now. I thought I don't know if he was trying to shield his eyes from the sun or call a fair catch. I guess that's what he was, because he did run with it afterwards. So, Brady Quinn, nearly 60% of his passes against Stanford. He's had 5 touchdowns and 3 picked off as we look at our Adidas starting lineups for the Notre Dame offense. Backs and receivers. McConnell starts at fullback. Schwab out with season-ending surgery. And the front line with Bob Morton, who was injured against Purdue, back in the lineup today. On first down, a hand to Darius Walker. And Walker picking his way forward for a good gain on first down before David Lofton makes the stop from his safety spot. As we check our Adidas starting lineups for the Stanford Cardinal defense, a 3-man front, Horn, Udofia, and Egbo. And 4 linebackers. Okwo, as Coach Weiss says, clearly the best player on the Cardinal defense. And in the secondary, including David Lofton, who made that tackle, son of James Lofton, the NFL Hall of Famer. You know, those corners have a challenge today matching up with these wide receivers from Notre Dame.
Good toss to the tight end, Carlson. And he takes it across that yellow line for the first down.
You know, Tom, we talked about Notre Dame's balance, and against Purdue, they did so many things well. On their opening drive, they scored a touchdown, 14 points in the first quarter, which was one of those things Charlie Weiss wanted to do. Very good on third down. Another one of those things he kind of checked off on his to-do list, kind of hogged the ball, didn't turn the ball over, and Darius Walker was sensational.
And his first 100-yard rushing game this season after 7 games over 100 yards last year. Here's Walker again, his second carry of the game, nearly broke it, just tripped up, falls forward to the 30-yard line.
Well, you can see a lot of Darius Walker in that kind of play today, because Stanford just had really struggled stopping the run, Tom. You know, they're giving up 283 yards, which is last in NCAA 1A football. And we talked to Walt Harris. You see some of those numbers. There's 119 teams in Division 1A. Rushing defense, their last, total defense, and points allowed. He's just got a lot of young players and suffered through a lot of injuries.
As he said, his biggest challenge as a coach. Walker tried to cut to the outside. Nice tackle made in that occasion by Trevor Hooper, who caught him and prevented the first down.
Yeah, we talked so much about Darius Walker as a runner and the vision and kind of patient. I thought it was interesting. We were talking yesterday to John Sullivan, who was the center, Tom, of Notre Dame. He said, you know, if you get your helmet on your guy, if you're an offensive lineman, Darius Walker is always going to make the right cut. And we've seen that this season from Darius Walker.
He says the same thing we've been fond of saying so many games, that he is such a patient runner. Here's Quinn with a keep for the first down.
You know, this is Notre Dame's opening drive, as we know, and Charlie Weiss really likes to set the tempo on these opening drives. They scored last week on their opening drive, first of this season. Last year, I thought it was staggering time. In 12 games, they scored touchdowns in 8 of their opening drives. And that, you know, always put the defense on their heels right from the very beginning. That's why if he wins the toss, he's one of the few coaches that doesn't defer. He accepts it.
And there's that opening drive stat. For the first time this season, they did it against Purdue last week. And Now Brady Quinn finds Walker wide open out of the backfield. And close to another first down. Could be. Okwo makes the tackle after a gain of 10. Snyder got a piece of it as well, as Stanford played that Tampa 2 defense, which leaves the middle kind of wide open for a back out of the backfield.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of space right over the middle. And Darius Walker, who's a pretty good receiver, caught 9 passes last week, and has now caught a pass in 21 consecutive games. But if that linebacker leaves, Darius Walker's just going to settle in there and catch a bunch of balls.
Walker tied with Raymond McKnight as leading receiver for the Irish. Pressure on Quinn. He goes down as he releases the ball. Pat Maynard bearing down on Brady Quinn.
And that was a poor block that time by Darius Walker. Darius Walker did not pick up that blitz. Watch number 3. Couldn't quite get over to block his man, Maynard. Maynard's a good little blitzer. Undersized guy at 215 pounds, but a very good blitzer. Pat Maynard, they're one of Stanford's outside linebackers.
Yeah, Walker whiffed on him, didn't he? 2nd and 10. Darius runs the football and hurdles one man and then gets only a yard or 2 before he's dragged to the turf.
Boy, good defensive play by Tim Sims. It really kind of slowed up. He didn't make the tackle, Tom, but Tim Sims, who's a corner, really a backup corner, but he's playing because of the injury to Nick Sanchez, comes up and kind of blows the play up. Watch right there. He kind of takes Carlson out of the ways, and then Darius Walker never really got started. So he slowed him down and then got some help from his teammate, Udofia.
They call him Udofia. So on 3rd and long, empty backfield for the Irish. 5 wide receivers, and Quinn's in the gun.
Just a 3-man pass rush.
Quinn with time. Right is it complete, threading the needle to Samardzija.
Well, Tom, I just don't think you could rush 3 against Brady Quinn. I mean, I think if you're going to be effective, you've got to bring some pressure. It was interesting. We were talking to A.J. Kristoff. Perfect throw and catch by Samardzija. A.J. Kristoff, who's the defensive coordinator for Stanford this week, he said, I'd love to bring pressure. He just says, I'm worried about my corners being matched up one-on-one with these talented big receivers in Notre Dame.
Gain of 11, first down Irish, as they convert their first 3rd down of the game. Walker, using his blockers, lowers his head and crosses the 40-yard line to the 39 of Stanford.
I'll tell you, one of the things, if Stanford is going to stay in this game and potentially win it, they're going to have to play real good first down defense. But because this is exactly what Charlie Weiss wants to do, is kind of wear you down there on first down. And what Darius Walker picked up probably 4 yards on that first down play. So a very efficient run. A.J. Kristoff, the defensive coordinator, said, hey, we've pretty excited about the way defense played against UCLA last week.
Had a good first half against UCLA last week. The best they have played this season. Quinn, again, just setting down in the middle of the defense as Samardzija gets the pass and is right at that first down line. Let's see where they mark it.
Again, A.J. Kristoff, Tom, this week saying, boy, I tell you, Jeff Samardzija is just a tough matchup for us. He's a tough matchup for anybody.
Well, yeah. Goes without saying. And when Brady Quinn is flinging him, it's a pretty tough combination.
See, Brady Quinn looked to his right first, nothing there, didn't waste any time, came right back. And you see how big Samardzija is? You almost like playing quarterback with that visual there. You saw how big a target he is, and a perfect strike by Brady Quinn to Jeff Samardzija.
Stretch the chains, and by the length of the football, it is a first down. A long, sustained opening drive here by the Irish.
Samardzija had such a big game last year against Stanford. You mentioned that, that was the key to getting into the BCS. He had, 191 yards in receptions and 2 touchdowns against the Cardinal. And he just ate everybody up last year.
Already 5.5 minutes on this opening drive of the game for the Irish. Samardzija in motion. First down play. Stanford got back. Quinn goes to Carlson over his head.
Good coverage by David Lofton, the strong safety. Talented strong safety, son of the legendary James Lofton, who played at Stanford and had an incredible professional career as well.
James Lofton into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2003.
In fact, David, his son, presented him that day. Now, David Loftus actually started as a quarterback at Stanford, then played wide receiver, now a strong safety. 2 years ago when he came in here as a wide receiver, caught 2 passes against the Irish.
Second and 10. To the outside, got a block on the corner, and then is forced out of bounds by Okwa.
You know, Tom, one of those subtle things I think that makes Notre Dame tough to defend. You see how much time that Brady Quinn had at the line of scrimmage, and it goes back to Charlie Weiss's play calling. He calls the plays so quickly that Brady Quinn has probably 15 seconds at the line of scrimmage to change the play, and he did it twice in succession. Changed the the run. And you can't do that if you're always, chasing the clock. So he's got 15 seconds left now on the play clock. He's up at the line of scrimmage.
Third down play. They converted a third down earlier this drive. Quinn, nothing there. Pulls it down. Going to scramble ahead and inside the 20-yard line for a first down. Tim Sims tripped him up there, but a scrambling first down 9 yards for Quinn.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete, just like Trent Edwards of Stanford is. Big guy who's, almost 230 pounds, but can move pretty well as well. Three for 3 on third down today, which is pretty remarkable. Good start for them.
Point of emphasis last week against Purdue. They came through then, and on this opening drive, perfect in 3 chances on third. Shamarja trying to get a block from McKnight. He really couldn't get a very good block on the corner, and Tim Sims makes the tackle.
Yeah, another good play by Tim Sims. The Irish have been awfully good when they get down inside the opponent's 20-yard line. You see 19 possessions, 15 TDs. Tom, to me that is remarkable. 79% touchdowns. You don't settle for field goals down here.
Second down. This is a long current drive, you see, which has reached deep into Stanford territory. Samardzija got a block from Carlson. And there's a face mask call on Brandon Harrison. He didn't want to let him go because he might have been on his way to the end zone, so he'll be called for the face mask.
Well, they're going to force these Stanford corners to tackle Samardzija and McKnight. Throw them a bunch of short passes like that. There's the face mask against the Cardinal.
Pac-10 crew here today.
Both flags are for the same foul, personal foul, face mask, defense number 15. Penalties after this is to go automatic first down.
By the way, you said Pac-10. There's an onside kick today. It only has to go 9 yards.
Pac-10 rules.
Pac-10 rules. There's the face mask on Brandon Harrison, who's playing corner after the last 2 years. Brandon Harrison has played safety. So first year as a corner, kind of settling in.
Senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Grew up in the shadow of LSU, a Tiger fan.
Interesting guy. I talked to him this week.
First and goal, 9-yard line. Long Irish drive. Fake it to Quinn, or fake it from Quinn to Samardzija for the touchdown.
Good ball fake. You saw the fake there to Darius Walker. Everybody has to come up and try to tackle Darius Walker, right? Because he's been so effective on this drive. Everybody does. And then your big, tall receiver, you just throw it high and let the baseball player go up and get it.
Jeff Samardzija with his 5th receiving touchdown of the season. He's already caught 5 passes today for 29 yards. Carl Joya's extra point splits the uprights. And the Irish consume a lot of time off that clock. 7 minutes and 10 seconds to get the go-ahead score. 7-0. Notre Dame football is brought to you by Dell, business solutions designed for one company in mind, yours. Dell, purely you. By Charles Schwab, looking for a winning investment strategy? Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. And by Michelin, a better way forward. Tom Hammond, Pat Hayden, Lewis Johnson at Notre Dame Stadium, where the Irish have taken a 7-0 lead after a 91-yard drive that consumed 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Coaches love that sort of stuff.
Boy, yeah.
Samardzija had 5 catches on the drive.
Yeah, 9 passes, 6 runs.
And now Nate Whitaker, the freshman, has the ball teed up to kick it off for Notre Dame. This is the freshman. Coach Weiss told us he probably would kick off tomorrow. He didn't tell him until just a minute ago. Didn't want him to be too nervous. Nate Whitaker kicking off on short notice. And it's a short kick.
He was worried about him being really nervous.
Taken by Jones. Stopped at the 25-yard line.
Kind of an interesting story. Kind of a walk-on from San Diego. Or just kind of called Charlie over the summer.
And ends up kicking off at Notre Dame Stadium. Here's Trent Edwards, a future pro, but he's had his problems with inexperienced wide receivers and not much protection. You look at our Adidas starting lineups for the Stanford offense. As Kimball has returned from injury, that's good. And Edwards fakes to Kimball and rolls with a lot of green in front of him and then fires complete to Yancey. And Austin Yancey out of bounds after a Stanford first down. Nice looking play on first down. That offensive line, the most experienced in 1A college football. Gain of 12 for Stanford on their first play of the game.
Yeah, you know, the offensive line necessarily doesn't give up all those sacks that we've talked about. Sometimes it's the quarterback, sometimes it's the receivers not getting open, and sometimes it's the offensive line.
Quick look, pass complete. Kelton Lynn takes it for another nice gain on first down. That was 7 yards from Edwards. Adidas starting lineups defensively for the Irish. Up front, Abby Amiri, Laws, Landry, and Fromm. Travis Thomas still out with injury, so for the second straight game, Joe Brockington starts. And in the secondary, Terrell Lambert getting his first start after playing well. Ray Herring for the injured Tom Zibikowski, who will not play today. Kelton Lynn shakes a tackler and takes it for another Stanford first down. That was an 8-yard gain.
Well, the Stanford offense has struggled. Again, as we remind you, 119 teams in Division 1A. They're 101st in rushing, and scoring's not much better. Sacks allowed, 117, 21 sacks, 15 the last 2 weeks. And Tom, as we just said, it's not all necessarily the offensive line. Receivers not getting open, quarterback maybe holding the ball a little bit too long. But last year, Victor Abiamiri had 4 sacks against the Cardinal. He's the guy right up here.
Edwards, though, starts out 3 for 3 as Stanford gets starting at its own 25, moving the ball. First rushing play, and a good one for Kimball, who ducks out of bounds short of the 40-yard line. A 6-yard gain. Ray Herring, who is starting at safety for Tom Zibikowski, who was injured against Purdue last week. Herring is a sophomore from Melbourne, Florida, 5'10", 190 pounds.
And Charlie Weiss calls him a Zibikowski wannabe.
It's a pretty good role model.
Yeah.
See some other scores. There's Zibikowski on the Notre Dame sideline. He is dressed, as you see, but not expected to play. Kimball. First down, Stanford, as they cross the 35 down to the 32-yard line. Another 9-yard gain. Herring and Brockington the tackle as we check in with Lewis Johnson.
Well, Tom, you're talking about Zibikowski. They're not on the field today. It goes back to last week. Zibikowski took a shot on a punt return, took a shot to the head and the shoulder area. Now, Charlie Weiss was so upset with it, he thought it was a late call. He even clipped off the video and sent it to the Big Ten and said, hey, look at this. Zibikowski was woozy. He finished the game. Today, Zibikowski gave me a thumbs up, but Charlie Weiss said he's a no-go. Rest him today, rest him for the bye week next week, and have him back at full strength. Tom?
All right, Lewis. Stanford continues to move the football. Tight end Jim Gray there.
You just see the accuracy of Trent Edwards. You know, 4 for 4, Tom. That's still 100%, isn't it? 4 for 4.
Still is.
If you protect him, he's got great vision. You know, this was a guy 5 years ago that was recruited by everybody, including Notre Dame. Great mechanics, keeps the ball up high, throws a perfect pass there. But the problem is he just had too many people in his face most of his career.
That one good for 7, making it 2nd and 3. Edwards perfect on the drive. Edwards hands to Kimball, and Kimball bursts free up the middle. Tackled at the 20-yard line by Maurice Crum Jr. First down.
Second play, they ran that little trap. Eric Lorig, one of the tight ends, number 80, kind of comes across the backfield, trap blocks, and then Anthony Kimball hugs it. And twice he's had a nice block right there on Talley, and then the run by Kimball. So that play has worked very well twice in a row.
Stanford averaging 7 yards a play on first down. It's first down here from the 20. Kimball, nothing there that time. Hit behind the line, manages to drive forward, maybe reach the original line of scrimmage. Joe Brockington was the first to hit him.
Yeah, Joe Brockington in for Travis Thomas. As you mentioned it during the lineup, second straight game Joe Brockington has started in his place. Talking to Charlie Weiss yesterday about him, said, you know, he's played pretty solidly against Purdue last week.
Toby Gerhart now in a tailback for the Cardinal. He's a freshman from Norco. Started last week. He actually is the leading rusher on the season for the Cardinal, and more of a pounder than is Kimball. Movement up front.
You mentioned Toby Gerhart.
Dead ball. False start. Offense. Number 67. 5 yards. Remains. Second down.
Alan Smith, the left tackle.
Yeah, Gerhart, an incredible athlete. You know, freshman from Norco High School in Southern California, has set a California state record.
I did a double take at those rushing yards for his career.
Absolutely incredible. 9,600 yards. You see him there. And, you know, think about it. It's better than Reggie Bush or Marcus Allen or all the great running backs in California.
He broke the record, the old record, by 1,000 yards.
And a heck of a baseball player as well.
Here's the first bump in the road for Stanford after the penalty. But Edwards finds his tight end, Gray, tripped up as he goes inside the 15-yard line. A gain of 12.
Is that a good throw by Trent Edwards to Jim Dre? Again, looked left first, got rid of that thought very, very quickly. So he made up his mind very quickly. The primary receiver on the left was not open. Came right back to his second guy, his tight end, Jim Gray. And you can't throw it any more accurately than that. An easy ball to catch.
Third down and 4. Edwards is 5 for 5. Hand off. Gerhart chugs inside the 5-yard line, down to the 4 with Ndukwe making the touchdown-saving tackle.
7 on the carry. Tackle by Crum and Ndukwe.
Nice run inside. You mentioned him kind of as a pounder, Gerhart, number 7. Good block by 67 Alan Smith and Vincent on the left side. And then I think the ball security is the thing that you're most happy with a freshman running back. Had both hands over the ball.
First and goal from the 4 for Stanford. Anthony Kimball back at the tailback spot. Handoff to Kimball, trying to pick his way forward, stacked up at the line of scrimmage.
Walt Harris is awfully happy to have Anthony Kimball back and available. He wasn't available last week against UCLA. He's had a couple of very nice runs so far today.
Kimball, also from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's a junior. Last year played wide receiver, started 6 games at the running back spot, and was their second leading rusher with 244 yards. Also had 14 receptions.
Yeah, he's still just learning that running back position.
There you see the red zone production for the Cardinal. Second down and goal. Ball spotted at the Notre Dame 3. Kimball using his blockers. The hole closed quickly, though, and he's slammed down by Abby Amiri.
Yeah, and Brockington slowed him down first, and then Abby Amiri finished him off. Brockington got a piece of him over on the right of the screen. There's 52, and then allows Abby Amiri to stop him short of the goal line. So very important third down after a very good opening drive by the Cardinal. Important third down. Remember, this is where they really like to get Evan Moore, their 6'7" receiver, and throw it to him. He's hurt, not playing today.
Third down goal from the 3. I formation. Kimball the tailback. Edwards passes, drills for the touchdown. No, they say no. Out of the back of the end zone, Lynn looked like he had it for a moment, wobbles the ball, and goes out of the end zone.
Perfect throw again, right, Tom? Again, you look at his 3rd and goal against Notre Dame. He's got 2 walk-on receivers and a freshman on the field at that time. Absolutely perfect throw that should have been caught for a touchdown.
Yeah, I thought it was. Right there he has it. Ball comes loose, and then he scoots on out of the end zone. He dropped the ball before he left the field of play. So Zachary is on to attempt the field goal. See, he has hit 50% on the season. This is a 20-yard attempt. Zachary's kick up and through.
And it's a good, very good drive by Stanford.
Impressive drive. Should have had the touchdown had Lynn been able to hold on for just a beat longer. Instead, they settled for the field goal, trailing 7-3. First quarter almost over. Notre Dame leading Stanford 7-3. 2 long drives, a long one by the Irish, and then a moment ago, a long one by the Stanford Cardinal. Started at their own 25-yard line. They went 14 plays, consumed 6.5 minutes, had to settle for the field goal. In fact, the only pass that Edwards missed on the drive was that pass dropped by Lynn in the end zone.
Yeah, he threw it about as well as you can possibly throw it. Big defensive series now, I think, for Stanford. It must keep this thing close. They need to force a couple of 3-and-outs.
That's George West awaiting the Derek Belch kickoff. Instead, it goes to Walls at the goal line. Walls made a nice cut. Still on his feet. Flag is down. Here's the kicker, Belch. Chased down from behind by Osai, and Belch slowed him down 60 yards, but it looks like it'll come back after the flag. It'll be a hold against the Irish.
Well, the Cardinal struggled in all 3 phases, including kick coverage.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 48. Penalty 10 yards to the spot of the foul. First down.
Holding call against Steve Quinn. So a break for the Cardinal as they allowed a 60-yard return, but it's wiped from the books with a penalty. We'll be back with the Irish up 7-3. Sun-drenched crowd at Notre Dame Stadium, and in case you missed it today, we invite you to visit NBCSports.com a half hour before every NBC Notre Dame telecast for the Vonage Notre Dame countdown to kickoff. On the left there you see Mike Golick with host Paula Ferris on the set on our coverage today. Pat, you had a nice exchange with John Walters.
Well, he was tough on the Irish in his grading, wasn't he?
That's all on NBCSports.com. The Vonage Notre Dame countdown to kickoff a half hour before every Notre Dame game. Second possession for the Irish. The first resulted in their longest drive of the season. Hand off to Darius Walker.
Boy, Sims again.
Dragged down by Sims from behind. And that first drive, Pat, 91 yards, 17 plays, 7 minutes, 10 seconds, and all 3 categories, their longest drive of this season.
Yeah, but the nice thing is Stanford responded. You know, it's one of those things, and they're going to have to continue to respond. I think this defensive series, they need to find a 3-and-out just to get this defense off the field some.
Second down and 8. Retreats and wings it complete to Carlson. Made the catch, but was immediately downed on the play. Good coverage by the secondary. Nick Sanchez, who's been battling injury, back at his starting cornerback spot. He had 11 tackles against Notre Dame in the game last year. And the first quarter will end with a couple of long scoring drives, one on each side. Notre Dame up 7-3. We'll be back after these messages from your local NBC station. You're watching Notre Dame football presented by Dell.
Here's the one thing I took. Tell them what you need. We're going to go on another meticulous, 89-yard drive right there. So let's just go just meticulous down the field.
Charlie Weiss with some words for his quarterback Brady Quinn wants a meticulous 89-yard drive. They were meticulous 91 yards on their first possession. Third down and 3 here, a key play if they're going to have that meticulous drive. Quinn double clutch,
Picked off. It's intercepted, I think.
intercepted. It was intended for Carlson,
That's a touchdown.
and Maynard comes away with the football.
Wow. And we just said they needed a great defensive stand, and they came up with it. Pat Maynard, I think, just plucked it away from the tight end.
Ripped it out of his hands, didn't he?
Was he down on the ground, though?
I thought he was, but
yeah, it looked like he was down. He sure intercepted it, I thought. Right there in Carlson, he's down.
Yeah.
He's absolutely down on the ground.
Yeah.
That cannot be a touchdown.
Right.
It's got to be reviewed, right?
I would think. Maynard went over the top and somehow snatched that ball right off the turf out of the hands of Carlson.
Yeah, that is a touchdown. That is an interception, but not a touchdown.
And they will be reviewing the play.
The rolling on the field is an incomplete pass.
Oh, an incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass, okay. Well, I'm sure we'll...
Let's get that angle, that end zone angle.
Once again, the ruling by the officials is an incomplete pass.
Yeah, it looked like the ball hit the ground. Yeah, it looked like the ball hit the ground.
It's a good call.
Yep.
Good call. The ball did hit the ground. It looked like Maynard had somehow picked it off. So Notre Dame dodges a bullet, but will have to punt. And Jeff Price, the unsung hero of the Notre Dame team so far this season. Such a great job punting, averaging 47.5 yards on 25 punts. Chris Hobbs is deep for Stanford. That's not a very good looking punt. It looked like the ball was made out of lead. It bounces out of bounds.
The Stanford team has played very well in this first half.
Only a 36-yard punt after the praise, and Price slams his helmet to the turf. He shranked that one. Good field position for the Cardinal, down 4. All right, Jimmy, who would have guessed that Auburn defense would give up 27 points to Arkansas? Arkansas knocked off Alabama earlier. They win the state championship. I guess they beat Auburn this time.
Well, they struggled against South Carolina a couple weeks ago as well, did Auburn.
I have a feeling those SEC teams are kind of going to knock each other off as the season progresses, and that's what Notre Dame hopes for, so they can move up in the polls. Edwards tosses to Kimball. Second possession for the Cardinal after scoring a field goal on the first time they had the ball, and Kimball rambles into Notre Dame territory and is tackled by Mike Richardson. Gain of 7. So the second-ranked Auburn Tigers, second in the AP poll, lose. And that's the kind of help that Notre Dame needs if they're going to move up in the rankings. And
a lot of teams ahead of them, a lot of things have to fall their way, but that was certainly one of them.
Yep.
And, you know, as you mentioned, the SEC teams are probably going to knock, what, there's 3 more ahead of, ranked ahead of Notre Dame. They're all going to play one another.
Second down play. Kimball hit behind the line by Trevor Laws and ridden down just short of the first.
Hey, Tom, you know, one of the things we talked to Walton Harris this week, he said, you know, we need to kind of start well against this Notre Dame team. And this is a terrific start. Down 7-3, their defense played well. He said 3 things: start well, no turnovers, and to get much better in the kicking game. That was his formula to kind of stay with this high-powered Notre Dame team. But the start of this game is exactly what Walt Harris dialed up.
Third down in the yard. Big play for the Cardinal. Noli, the fullback. Gerhardt, the tailback. Fake to Gerhardt, and Edwards going up top. Knocked down, no flag. Both men going for the football. Kelton Lynn was the intended receiver. Mike Richardson right with him.
It's an interesting, you know, aggressive call by Walt Harris. A walk-on receiver against Mike Richardson, who's played pretty doggone well this year. You know, if you get your head turned, they're generally not going to call pass interference.
That's the key. Get your head turned back toward the football.
Yeah, saying you're gonna, you have just the right to the ball.
So fourth down. Ottavecchio is the punter, and it's Samardzija that's deep. Remember, Tom Zbikowski not playing today, almost blocked. Fair catch, Samardzija taken at the 15-yard line.
Well, he holds, he catches, now he catches, he punts.
30-yard punt, but it backs the Irish up. So each team has a long scoring drive first possession. Each team punts on its second. Notre Dame ball. Notre Dame football is brought to you by Chevrolet, America's brand. Chevy, an American revolution. By Comcast. Watch more high-def movies with HD from Comcast, where HD movies live. By Powerade. Sport is what you make it. And by Adidas and PowerWeb, Reggie's uniform of speed. Beautiful shot of the Golden Dome amid the foliage here at Notre Dame Stadium. Trees still haven't changed, and our aerial coverage today brought to you by Goodyear. Goodyear tires featuring triple tread technology with 3 separate tread zones for peace of mind in any weather. Beautiful shot there, aerial view of the Notre Dame Stadium. And Notre Dame takes over, first down at the Irish 15-yard line, leading 7-3. Prince, the freshman, getting the call and finding it rough going against the Stanford defense. Wrestled down by Michael Okwo, who hit him in the backfield and didn't let the speedy freshman get untracked.
I tell you, Michael Okwo is their best defensive player. They say it, and Notre Dame says it. Number 55 right here in the middle. This is a guy that missed the first 2 games. In his first game back, he had 10 tackles. The next game, he had 15 tackles. Charlie Weiss was saying to us yesterday, hey, they are a much better team with Michael Okwo in there.
Stanford defense had a good first half against UCLA last week. A good first half here so far today. Looked like they might have had an interception earlier, but it was ruled incomplete on the field. Of course, every play reviewed upstairs, and they agreed with it. Didn't have to stop the game. Breaking free momentarily is Prince. Caught after a gain of 11 yards by Brandon Harrison.
We enjoyed our talk with Michael Okwo this week, a guy who, very interesting family. His father from Nigeria, is now in California teaching math, although he's an MD, a medical doctor. He had a brother who studied philosophy at Morehead, a sister at Princeton, then now at Georgia Tech in engineering. He's studying philosophy and religious studies at Stanford. And on top of all that, he's a darn good football player.
Near Acosta High School, Redondo Beach, All-American there. Third down and 3 for the Irish. Prince falls ahead for the first down. Tripped up by Clinton Snyder.
That's a good, tough run by Munir Prince. And, you know, as a freshman, we've talked about how speedy he is, and you kind of think of him as a scat back. That was a first really tough yardage, Tom, we've really seen from Munir Prince, who Charlie Weiss really is very, very high in this game.
And falls across that yellow line. Today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Xerox. And a shot of Darius Walker watching this series from the sideline as the freshman Prince gets his feet wet. Quick toss to McKnight. Downed immediately. Good play again by the Cardinal defense. That was Osisai.
Osisai back on the team after really leaving the team a year ago, Tom, and kind of quit for track. You know, he's a 10-400 meters guy, but makes a good tackle here. Had to ask Walt Harris if he'd allow him back on the team. Missed spring practice, but he missed football, and nice tackle there by Osisai.
Well, Pamo Osisai preventing those dreaded yaks, yard after catch.
You love that word, don't you? You love that, yak.
2nd and 10. Play action fake, and Brady Quinn looking and has to dump it off to tight end Carlson. Carlson dragged down from behind by David Lofton. His dad James will be proud of that. So it went for a gain of 12 and will go in the books as an Irish first down.
Look how easy this is because of the protection for Brady Quinn. I mean, really surveying the field. He had, what, 3.5, 4 seconds there, nothing open in his right. Then Carlson is really playing more fullback today than tight end because Aesop Schwab is unavailable, out for the season. Line up in a lot of fullback. This time he's a tight end, but most of this first half he's been playing like a fullback position.
Weiss calling for a meticulous 89-yard drive. Still underway. Quinn, nice scramble to get the ball out from Ashley McConnell. McConnell is fullback, pushed out of bounds by Clinton Snyder.
You want to see the very thin Ashley McConnell?
Yeah, thin indeed. He was called on to lose some weight. In fact, Coach Weiss said in spring practice, you're not very athletic. So he went from 257 down to 230.
Soup 3 times a day, he told us.
8-4, 2nd and 6.
The senior from Adairsville, Georgia. The late handoff. Prince.
Boy, that was
stuck. By Okwo. 55.
His coaches were saying he's explosive. He said when he tackles you go backwards. And that's exactly what happened there. Michael Okwo, their best tacklers, well, number 55, coming right up the middle, fighting off a couple of blocks.
Carlson unable to get a block. And Prince knocked on flat on his back.
Opo said to us this week, we're really disappointed with this start, but we've got to set some new goals. And he said, for me, it's some 3 and outs this week.
Another 3rd and 5. 5 wide receivers. McKnight, Anastasio, Samardzija, Grimes, and Carlson. And with the play clock ticking down, it is timeout taken by the Irish.
First time I've seen that this year, Tom. They've had to burn a timeout there in a situation like that.
Second quarter, Notre Dame up 7-3 with 9.5 minutes showing. The oldest college marching band, the Band of the Fighting Irish, with the victory march while we were away trying to pump up the Irish for a key 3rd down coming up. Notre Dame has converted 4 of 5 previous 3rd downs in this first half. 3rd and 5. From the shotgun, Brady Quinn, outlet screen pass actually to Walker. And well defended again by Brandon Harrison and his defensive teammates of the Cardinal. They prevent first down yardage and force a punting situation.
Well, I know Charlie's apt to go for it on 4th down a lot,
It could be. It looks like he's thinking it over, but Quinn now walks to the sideline.
Somebody forgot to tell the Stanford defense they were 30-point underdogs. They are really rallying to the football.
And Quinn back out on the field. They will go for it. They wanted to just see how long it was. It's 4th down and a couple of yards. So on 4th and 2, Notre Dame will go for it. They've been very efficient on 4th downs all season long.
10 of 12.
Quinn hands off to Walker, and he didn't make it. Wow.
Tom McAndrew was the first guy who came out of the pile.
Tom McAndrew, 6'5", 260 pounds.
A terrific defensive surgery. There's absolutely no push by the offensive line. Defensive line, those three defensive linemen get low, right in the backfield. Darius Walker has no chance of picking up a first down. Terrific defensive series by the Cardinal.
Ball goes over on downs to Stanford. Stanford takes over, 8:43 to go in the second quarter, and they get the ball in Notre Dame territory after the failed 4th down attempt. 7-3 Irish. Play action fake, and Trent Edwards chased and sacked. Slammed down by Victor Abiamiri.
Well, we said he had 4 sacks last year against Brady Quinn, or against Trent Edwards. That is first today.
Loss of 6, his 3rd sack of the season.
Yeah, just when the defense really puts him in a great position, and that was really an offensive line problem. Victor Abiamiri just beat his guy way too quickly.
Like Derek Landry was bearing down too. See the numbers for Abiamiri. 2nd and long, back into Stanford territory. Edwards on a slant, broken up. Intended for Kelton Lynn, and looked like Mike Richardson had a hand in there to break it up.
Tom, we talked about it when you did opening lineups, but Trent Edwards is missing Mark Bradford and Evan Moore, his 2 starting wide receivers. And although these guys he has out there, walk-ons and freshmen, are trying, they're just not creating a lot of separation between themselves and the defensive backs. There's just no big holes or openings for Trent Edwards to get the ball to those wide receivers.
And we'll see if Notre Dame comes after him in a big way here on 3rd down and 16. They've converted 1 of 3 on 3rd.
There's Abiamiri down here.
Edwards got protection and found the man wide open, and he dropped it. Richard Sherman had the first down deep into Irish territory and dropped it.
Well, they dropped a touchdown. They dropped a 3rd and long. Richard Sherman, one of those inexperienced receivers for Stanford, a freshman. A little bit behind him, but certainly catchable, Tom, right? And defense does a great job on 4th down. Defense gives the offense an opportunity, and they don't cash in.
So on 4th down, Ottavecchio in punt formation. The deep man, George West, for Notre Dame. West does not call a fair catch and is punished for his efforts. About the 20-yard line and forward progress to the 21. A 27-yard punt. Only 1 yard on the return. Sherman's drop would have been a first down. Notre Dame football is brought to you by Chase. To apply for a Notre Dame credit card with Blink from Chase, call 877-49-BLINK today. Well, which team is a 30-point underdog? Hard to tell at the moment.
Yeah.
Notre Dame leads 7-3. They get the ball back at their own 22-yard line. Trent Edwards has had a good day. Were it not for the 2 dropped passes, one for a touchdown, one for a long first down, he would have had a sparkling first half.
Well, he would have had a touchdown. He'd still be under center right now.
Play action fake. Here's Brady Quinn stepping up in the pocket and delivering to McKnight. Out of bounds with a first down for the Irish. Tim Sims there defending. Gain of 17 as we send it down to Lewis.
Hey, Tom, you talk about that score, 7-3. You know, Mike Haywood, the assistant coach for Notre Dame, called everyone together after that failed 4th and 1 attempt, all the offense, and he said, when are you going to take personal pride in what's happening in this game? He said, someone has to step up and make a play. He said, guys, if we have the confidence to go for it on 4th and 2, you have to get the first down. Brady Quinn then brought his entire offensive line together and talked with them so loud I couldn't hear, but it was obvious that Quinn was being a leader. Tom?
All right, Quinn hit McKnight on that last one. McKnight coming off that career-high 10 performance game. Here's Freeman, one of the tight ends, only his 3rd catch of the season. It goes for 25 yards in the middle of the Stanford defense. And now the Notre Dame passing game starting to click.
Watch Darius Walker on the right screen just get blown up. But still enough time for Brady Quinn to get a tight end down the middle, playing that, outside coverage where they're trying to take the wide receivers away, that double zone you hear so much about. What does that leave open? The middle of the field for your tight end and backs.
Irish on the move, first down at the 37 of Stanford. Walker dragged down from behind, right to the line of scrimmage, perhaps. As we remind you, near the end of today's game, we'll select the Chevrolet players of the game from each team. To honor their determination and outstanding play, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Chevy, an American revolution.
Well, Darius Walker continues to protect the ball well, Tom. He just came into the game with 372 touches without a lost fumble.
And we'll see if that puts the hex on him. He lines up in the tailback spot.
No hitter.
Fake it to him. Quinn in trouble and sacked back to the 45-yard line by David Lofton.
Yeah, David Lofton's had a nice first half as well. Remember, he guarded the tight end John Carlson in the first quarter here in a strong safety blitz. Good coverage down the field. Oakwell there kind of got in the passing lane of Brady Quinn, so Brady had to pull the ball down. And then David Lofton from the outside on his blitz. And A.J. Kristoff, who the defensive coordinator, has got to be pleased with the way he says the athletically challenged team is playing in this first half.
3rd down and 17. Quinn from the gun. Plenty of time. Going way downfield and knocked away from Samardzija at the last minute.
Yeah, I think it was old Saisai, I think, who knocked it away. We mentioned him as a track guy, 10-400 meters, and he used all of that speed to get this one. Watch him right at the last moment. It's a heck of a play by Osaisai.
It was. Hooper was there too. And brings up another 4th down, and this time Price is on to punt.
Tom, they had a lot of 3rd and longs in the first couple of ball games. They've had a bunch of 3rd and longs today against Stanford.
And Hobbs is set to receive it. Pooch punt. Hobbs will let it go. Bounds into the end zone for the touchback. Well, the Cardinal trailing 7-3, but they continue to hang tough against the big favorite Irish. 5:22 to go first half. Slim Notre Dame leads 7-3 over Stanford. Cardinal takes over at their own 20-yard line. Brady Quinn held in check by the Stanford defense today in a battle of 2 senior quarterbacks. Trent Edwards having a big first half. Were it not for a couple of drops, it would be a super impressive first half. Play action fake, and Edwards rolls to his right. Has to go underneath, and it's caught by Yancey.
Hey, Tom, let's have a look at some of those missed opportunities by Stanford thus far in this first half. This would have tied the score. Should have been a touchdown catch by Lynn. Dropped. Then a missed opportunity on the interception. It was a drop. touched the ground. And then that was a 3rd and 12, which would have kept the chains moving. Again, that drop, that time by Richard Sherman. And I should mention on that interception, Tom, that would have been a wasted challenge by Walt Harris because it was called on the field and incomplete and confirmed upstairs.
Second down handoff, Kimball. And Anthony Kimball close to the first down marker. Nice run by Anthony. You know, Pat, we have often praised the not only the physical abilities but the likability of Brady Quinn, and you have to put Trent Edwards in that same category. Very poised, very likable young man, as is Brady.
You know, I think you know, he's really a dignified guy, Trent Edwards. It would be easy for him to point the finger, blame the offensive line, blame 3 different coaching changes, but he hasn't. He just gets up under center, keeps chugging.
Chugging ahead that time, and I don't think he made the first down. Edwards on the keep. Spot of the football says he did not make it. It'll be 4th down.
And Walt Harris just looks disgusted.
Yeah, it does. Can't get a yard.
Do you roll the dice here, Tom? I mean, I think it's something that really they've got to keep their defense out sooner or later. Yeah, it just no way. You know, Brockington's there and Trevor Laws, Derek Landry.
But if you can't make a yard, then what makes you think you can make it on 4th down?
Well, I still, you know, 1 of 2, 50% on 4th and 1, or 1 yard.
I don't know. It's too deep in their own territory, I think. I grant you the point that they've got nothing to lose. But I think this is the right decision with Ottaveggio.
Well, their defense is playing as well as they did last week against UCLA.
Sailing toward West. George West, fair catch made. 33-yard line. 39-yard punt with no return. And coming up tomorrow night, 8 Eastern here on NBC, the champs and the Chargers. Pittsburgh takes on San Diego. And, of course, the most dynamic running back in the NFL, LaDainian Tomlinson. About time for Big Ben to get on track, too, isn't it? Also starting, of course, at 7 Eastern with Football Night in America. Bob Chris, Sterling, the Bus. It's all coming your way tomorrow here on NBC. Pittsburgh 1-2. And as we said, Roethlisberger has battling the appendicitis and the motorcycle accident and so on, has not had a good start to the season. San Diego at 2-1 atop the West.
Roethlisberger, no touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
Brady Quinn took a moment to identify the middle linebacker. Hands to Darius Walker. Dragged down from behind just when he was getting up ahead of steam by Quentin Snyder.
You know, one thing sometimes that Charlie Weis likes to do to change the pace is go no huddle, just to kind of get a lethargic offense going, and that's kind of what he started to do right now.
Also just 2 minutes left in the half.
Just trying to change the pace.
Quinn, fake to pass, handed it on the draw to Walker. Totes it for a first down to the 45-yard line where he's wrapped up by Okwo and Egbo.
That's very good, very good, very good. That's a good combination, Egbo and Okwo. Egbo, number 91, kind of the biggest, strongest pass rusher, and then Okwo as the linebacker, just you know, controlling really the middle of the field.
Quinn all day to throw. Crossing pattern to the tight end Carlson. Short of the first down, but out of bounds to stop the clock at 1:44.
Stanford 49.
You know, Brady Quinn has been pretty good on the last drive of the last few games of the first half. I mean, he's really run the 2-minute drill quite effectively over the last few weeks. And there you see those numbers. 21 of 27, 2 touchdowns, the last possession of the first half. So this is Brady Quinn time.
From the gun. Another crossing route into Samardzija to the 35-yard line and a first down.
Jeff Samardzija is a pretty graceful receiver. You talk about what a big target he is. He never seems to bobble the ball either. When you throw him the ball, he catches it. And surprisingly, I think pretty good after the catch. You know, those yak yards that you like so much, Tom? Mm-hmm. And hard to bring down.
His first catch since he had 5 on the first Notre Dame possession. Again, no pressure on Quinn, and the same route. Samardzija again just short of the first down, tackled by Lofton for the second straight play.
We like to keep track of Brady Quinn's throws left, center, and right. We measure that by hash marks and in the center of the field. But you see 11 for 11 throwing to his left today, second straight game.
It was an odd thing, too, approaching the Purdue game. He had trouble throwing to his left, which usually is not a problem for a right-handed quarterback. Walker slapped to the turf at the 20 by Okwo. And with less than a minute remaining, we remind you of the Toyota halftime show. Jimmy Roberts back in our New York studio. Peter King joins him with the latest NFL news, and Andrea Kramer gives us a closer look at Ben Roethlisberger. Also all of college football scores and highlights, including that Arkansas upset of second-ranked Auburn. That's the halftime performance of the Notre Dame band, too, at NBCSports.com. You'll want to tune in for that if you're a band aficionado. It is a great band. That's at NBCSports.com if you want to see the Notre Dame marching band at halftime. Otherwise, Jimmy Roberts and the Toyota halftime show. Timeout taken by the Irish. Stops the clock with 39 seconds left. Quinn on the sideline as the Irish are driving. 39 seconds left in the half. 7-3 Irish. Notre Dame has the ball at the 15-yard line. And our 1st and 10 yellow line brought to us by Xerox today. Brady Quinn in this first half is at 18 of 22 for 140 yards. That's an 82% completion clip. Facing the second down here at the 15 of Stanford.
15 seconds left on the play clock.
Quinn for the end zone, overshoots his man, and almost intercepted. Sanchez had it. His momentum carried him out of the end zone, but he couldn't hold on anyway as McKnight broke off his route and the ball sailed over his head.
Yeah, we've seen this an awful lot. Just gives McKnight or Samardzija a chance at the back of the end zone, but McKnight just stops, and Sanchez, who really has been injured since the Oregon game a few weeks ago, nearly picks that one off. This is a really important third down right now for Stanford.
And Notre Dame has converted 4 of 7 on third down. It's 3rd and 5.
There's Michael Okwo right in the middle. The guy's been stuffing a lot of the runs.
Short drop. Right into it. McKnight for the touchdown. Seventh receiving touchdown of the season for Raymond McKnight.
Yeah, coming off his biggest game of the year last week against Purdue, where he caught 2, a slant route, and I tell you, that thing had some steam on it, and he still didn't bobble. That was although he was open, pretty good catch by Raymond McKnight.
15-yard touchdown grab. Joya for the extra point. And it's good. Well, Brady Quinn put all the mustard he had on that one to drill it to McKnight for the TD.
Well, let's have a look here at McKnight. Watch just a little slant route. Again, that's a good throw. Good read by McKnight to run underneath the safety and away from Brandon Harrison. And then a perfect throw by Quinn.
Harrison took a bad angle, too, after this catch and was overrun by McKnight.
You don't have a chance. These guys are so strong, too, after the catch. And Charlie Weiss dialed up another one.
Well, so the Irish score on their first possession and their last possession of the half, we would assume, with 29 seconds left.
As we said, Brady Quinn has been awfully efficient on the last drive of the half this entire year.
And another familiar kicker, the revolving door of kickers. It's Ryan Burkhart that has it teed up.
That's a nice
kick. Yeah, into the end zone. It'll be down there by Jones. And so Stanford will take it at the 20 with 23 seconds on the clock. Beautiful aerial picture of the bluegrass field at Notre Dame Stadium. Our aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear Tires, featuring triple tread technology with 3 separate tread zones for peace of mind in any weather.
What a day.
Chamber of Commerce Day, as Coach Weiss was joking with us yesterday, same sort of day, said, got the recruits coming in, we're telling them what's typical South Bend weather.
That's right.
Total yardage in favor of the Irish, as is the score, 14-3, but the undermanned Cardinal had hung tough in this first half.
No surprise here.
Sack. And Amiri gets his second sack of the game. And they'll just let the final seconds tick away, and that'll do it for the first half. Notre Dame scores on its first possession, a 91-yard drive, and then on its last possession of the half. And Trent Edwards had a good first half. Goes to the locker room, though, down 14-3 as we check in with Lewis.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, Coach, you go with an 11-point lead. How do you characterize the first half offense and defense?
Well, what happened is those two first drives by both teams used up the whole quarter. And I think that both, everyone kind of got lulled to sleep there for a little while in the second quarter. But I think we finally woke up there about the last 5 minutes of the second quarter.
All right, thanks, Coach. Okay. Tom?
All right, Lewis, it's 14-3 Irish at halftime. And plenty ahead. Jimmy Roberts joined by Peter King in our New York studio. The halftime performance of the Notre Dame band can be seen at NBCSports.com. But now it's time for the Toyota halftime show. And for that, let's go to Jimmy Roberts. Let's go down to Lewis Johnson, who a couple of moments ago spoke with Walt Harris, the Stanford coach.
Well, Walt, you played some good defense the first half, but you had a couple of big drops that cost you. How did you deal with that at halftime, and how important is this first drive here in the third quarter?
Well, the first drive, third quarter, is very, very important to the outcome of the game. We just had some drops, What can you say? You guys try hard and didn't quite come up with the ball. The quarterback delivers the ball. It was unfortunate.
All right, Walt, thanks. Good luck.
Thanks, Lewis.
All right, Lewis, as we're ready for the start of the third quarter, Notre Dame and Stanford, the game brought to you by Dell. That's Ryan Burkhart, who will kick off to Evans and Jones to start the second half. Knuckleball kick from Burkhart, taken by Jones. Had a seam for a moment. It closed down, but he got it back out past the 30-yard line. David Bruton, the special teams wizard for the Irish, caught him from behind. Here's our quarterback comparison.
Trent Edwards, 6 of 10, should have been at least 8 of 10. A couple of drop balls. Brady Quinn, once again, a very, very accurate first half. The 2 touchdowns. Pretty good play by both of those guys. And Trent Edwards, they gave him some pretty good protection. You see the results. Should have been 8 of 10, as we said. Only 1 sack in that first half.
2 quarterbacks that may be squaring off in the future on Sundays. Hand off to Kimball. Anthony Kimball, good push, across the 35-yard line.
We had a nice conversation with Anthony Kimball this week. You mentioned him being from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a university laboratory school for LSU. So he indeed grew up right in the shadow of LSU. And he said one of his friends down there in Baton Rouge was Big Baby, basketball player of LSU. And Big Baby actually was the one that convinced him to play football.
Yep, and he convinced Big Baby to play basketball, he said. And because Big Baby's big enough to play football or whatever he wants for that matter. And helped take LSU to the Final Four last year and is back for his junior campaign coming up this season in Baton Rouge. Kimball gets another call. Laws and Richardson on the stop for the Irish. It'll bring up a 3rd down for Stanford.
There's Trevor Laws. What a nice year. A lot of people don't notice defensive tackles, but Trevor Laws, really good interior player for the Irish. And we had a nice conversation with him yesterday. Brought in his guitar. He was on his way to his guitar lesson and practice.
Wouldn't play it for us, but it looked nice. Key 3rd down here for Stanford. First possession of the second half. Edwards, flag is down. Nice catch in traffic by Dre. Wrestled to the turf, and another flag comes in. And we'll sort out the penalties. And while we do, there's a look at Trevor with his guitar in hand. I guess he can play it. He wouldn't demonstrate, but he looks like he's got the proper hand position there.
Well, when he said though is that that hand gets stepped on. His left hand gets stepped on. It's really hard to kind of maneuver that left hand around the strings.
Several of his teammates taking guitar lessons too for credit.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offsides, defense. That penalty's declined. Pass interference, defense. That penalty's accepted. It's a spot foul. Automatic first down.
I think they got Maurice Crum for the pass interference. The middle linebacker that.
So by virtue of the penalty, first down Stanford. They keep their opening drive of the half going.
Well, they're protecting Trent Edwards well. They're mixing in some pretty good runs. Anthony Kimball's had a nice game, kind of moving the chains. The offensive line has done a pretty good job.
From the 44, first down Cardinal. Notre Dame shows blitz, and they back out of it. Hand off to Ray Jones. And stopped, maybe for a loss of half a yard on the play. So Jones gets a rare carry from scrimmage.
That's called running the darkness. There was absolutely nothing there. There was no daylight anywhere. Before, as Trevor Law just kind of spun right into it, got some help.
Spun into it. For Abby Amiri jumped on two, and then Herring joined the party. Second down, 11. 10.5 at least. Edwards hit as he delivers incomplete, intended for his fullback, Noli.
And Abby Amiri right in his face. And we talked so much about sacks, Tom, and we even mentioned this last week, but sometimes the hurries can be just as important or even more significant. Sometimes they cause interceptions. That caused an incompletion. So Abby Amiri has one sack on the day and caused an incompletion there.
Now it's third down. And just over 10 yards to go for the Cardinal.
Now 2 walk-ons and a freshman spread out for the Cardinal at receiver.
Gerhardt to set back. Edwards chased and sacked. Abby Amiri got him again.
Well, we said he had 4 sacks last year against the Cardinal. And against Jeff Edwards, the offensive right tackle for right here. Watch how quick the right goes right around the tackle. Didn't even have a chance of seeing him. And 2 sacks on the day for Abby Amiri and 6 in the last, game and a half.
Might have 3 today. At least he has 2.5, I think, Pat, if my memory serves.
Usually does.
Arteveggio sends the punt on its way. George West makes the fair catch. Shy of the 25-yard line of the Irish. 41-yard punt. Trent Edwards, they finally got the pressure on him that second series. Irish get the ball up 14-3, 11:57 on the clock in this early third quarter. Quinn sets up a screen pass. Walker. Walker has a blocker in front. Makes a nice cut back. And takes it just short of the 40-yard line where Trevor Hooper chases him down, gain of 13.
One of those extended runs, really, or an outside run. They call it a screen, but it's like a long handoff to Darius Walker. A superb receiver. And good blocks downfield. Brady Quinn, inviting guys upfield. And look how much territory he has. And there really not a lot of people in front of him. Picks up a block by Dan Santucci.
Nice gain on first down for the Irish. Quinn to Samarja. He's looking to throw, perhaps. There he goes. Now he just throws it away.
94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, well, no one they couldn't handle it on the sideline. A big grin from Samarja, the Shark, who tried one of Charlie Weiss's trick plays.
Well, we mentioned he's a baseball player, signed with the Chicago Cubs, right, in the offseason, played, 40 or 50 games in the minor leagues. And I think he was, 5-1 as a pitcher this past summer. Trying to wing it down there. That was a wobbler. That looked like a punt.
5th-round draft pick of the Cubs, played in Class A Boise and briefly in Peoria. There's the fastball, 92 to 94, has a slider, a changeup, which he just learned this summer in the minors. They said it came pretty easily. Going to the screens on every play now. This is Carlson at midfield. Caught for the ankles by Tim Sims. 12-yard gain. Well, Samarja signed that pro baseball contract with the Cubs, drafted him in the 5th round this summer, and spent the rest of the summer pitching in Boise and Peoria, Class A Cub farm teams. And that changeup could be a valuable addition to his arsenal of pitches, and he said it did come to him pretty easily and became quite effective. Carlson, with that last catch, has 5 on the day. 3 of them have gone for first downs. Walker nearly burst free. David Lofton saved further damage for the Stanford defense. As it was, it covered 9 yards.
And Tom, the sequencing of plays. As you look at Darius's parents sequencing the plays, I mean, screen, off tackle run, trick play, throw the ball to the tight end, and then a power play. They really do keep you off balance. Again, the great ball security by Darius Walker.
Up to 390 touches since his last one now.
Unbelievable. Only 3
You
lost
didn't
fumbles.
text him in
Yeah.
the first half.
His parents are thankful of that.
Second and a yard. Walker picks up the first and more.
Darius Walker, he's like a run-on sentence, doesn't he? He just kind of keeps going and going and going. And good blocks there on the left side by Dan Santucci, Ryan Harris. The great view. And watch him just kind of pick his way through traffic, as all good running backs do. Right to left side. Makes a guy cut there. Good cut. And then some strength at the end of the run. So he had the vision, he had the strength, enough speed to pick up the first down.
And it went for 10. Walker using his blockers well and cutting back. And one man to beat. Touchdown. Parents celebrate. Ryan Harris made a key block from his left tackle spot for the 32-yard touchdown run.
They ought to thank Ryan Harris. Ryan Harris took on 2 guys. And then Darius Walker, with that great eyesight, just followed big old number 68. I think that's the longest run of the year for Darius Walker. It was 19 yards before today. So another long, methodical, or meticulous drive, as Coach Weiss would say, for the Irish.
Extra point by Joya is good as Walker rushed for his 3rd touchdown of the season. Irish up their lead, 21-3. Notre Dame football is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's forward. Toyota, moving forward. By Dell. Business solutions designed for one company in mind, yours. Dell, purely you. By Lincoln Financial Group, providing powerful retirement income security resources to help you say hello future. And by Vonage. And the aerial view of Notre Dame Stadium brought to you by Goodyear Tires, featuring triple tread technology with 3 separate tread zones for peace of mind in any weather. 21-3 Irish as Ryan Burkhart is set to kick it off. And Evans and Jones are deep. Short kick that bounces. Jones has trouble with it, but finally gets the handle and immediately smacked to the turf by the special teams of the Irish, led by Sergio Brown. Darius Walker scoring that last touchdown. We asked Darius, what is it like to score a touchdown at Notre Dame Stadium?
Scoring a touchdown is almost like you get in the end zone and then music comes on. Because I mean, I think that's where a lot of the guys get, you know, these touchdown dances and stuff in the NFL, because it's such a great feeling that you just want to dance. I mean, you want to dance and show off a little bit. So scoring a touchdown is kind of one of those feelings. It's like the beat comes on, music comes on, and now it's time to dance.
Yeah. He likes the stage, doesn't he?
He does. Draw play to Gerhardt. Upended at the line of scrimmage.
Take a look, another look at the touchdown and the rhythm of Darius Walker. Beautiful, beautiful play. I think the music actually came on about the 4-yard line.
Cue the music, and there you go.
Yeah. Boy, has he been tough the last 2 weeks, hasn't he? As a receiver and as a runner. A huge game against Stanford last year when he had 241 total yards.
That'll be a false start. John Cochran moving prematurely from his right guard spot.
Same foul, dead ball, false start. Offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, and remains 2nd down.
And Darius Walker over 100 yards for the 2nd straight game. 101 yards now. After recording over 100 against Purdue, 146 to be exact.
And 4 more catches, 2 times for 32 yards. So, 2 big games in a row against the Stanford Cardinal.
Second down and 15 now. Notre Dame shows blitz. Edwards got rid of it right to Kimball out of the backfield, and he makes a nice gain for a Stanford first down.
That's a nice call by Walt Harrison. Terrific execution. I mean, you're backed up. You know, the game's maybe getting away from you if you have to punt, and you just dump it off to Anthony Kimball, the former wide receiver, recently converted to running back, picks up the first down.
15 yards before Ray Herring tracks him down. It is a first down, and today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Xerox. Gerhardt is the tailback in the eye, gets the call here, and breaking a couple of tackles, crosses the 35-yard line. Maurice Crum finally gets Gerhardt to the ground. This is the young man we mentioned in the first half, gained nearly 10,000 yards rushing at Norco High School in California.
How about 3,200 his senior year and 39 touchdowns, Tom? You know, any guy who wears number 7 at Stanford, John Elway's old number, has to be a pretty special player. And he's going to play baseball just like John Elway did as well.
Gerhardt, the California Player of the Year, Mr. Football, All-Stater, All-American. His total 9,600 yards rushing, 3rd best all time in the United States. And the California record as the flag comes flying on that Gerhardt carry. And Ronald Talley made the Notre Dame stop.
You think about Gerhardt, 4 months ago he was in high school, playing high school, graduating from high school. Here he is 4 months later and playing in front of 80,000 at historic Notre Dame Stadium. Kind of holding his own.
Defense. Number 95, penalties 5 yards. The penalty yardage results in a first down.
Victor Abiamiri got a little bit of a head start.
Stanford first down across the 40.
Gerhardt to the sideline.
Isn't that quite going to plan, according to plan, from the Notre Dame perspective, as he chews on Victor Abiamiri a little bit?
I don't care how many sacks you have today. He just cost us 5 yards and gave Stanford a first down. Draw play. Kimball trying to get to the corner. Does turn the corner. Minimal gain, but he did well to get some positive yardage. Well, last Tuesday, Friday Night Lights captured the drama and dreams of small towns across America. It's the show that brings out the best in all of us. That is Friday Night Lights. You can see it Tuesday at 8 and 7 Central here on NBC. See so many small towns in America where that high school football team is the center of the whole society in the town.
I don't think kids playing high school football ever enjoy it any more than you do in high school, Tom.
Right.
It's the purest.
Edwards nearly had it picked off by Crum.
Maurice Crum was on his way, too.
I think Edwards threw it so hard he couldn't handle it. Well, Edwards lucky to get away with that one.
Maurice Crum, number 40, playing middle linebacker, really on the tight end, just all over the tight end. He was in front of the tight end. Ray Herring was behind him. And Trey Edwards, a little knockdown there. And he knows it would have been a touch and a lot more separation.
You think Trey Edwards will see Abiamiri in his nightmares tonight?
Yeah, certainly on the plane ride home. And
here he comes. Trevor Laws just beat Abiamiri to the prey that time.
Well, you're right. Trevor Laws, Abiamiri, Derek Landry. It was a party back there in the Stanford backfield. Led by Trevor Laws, number 98, right up the gut. 95, Abiamiri on the backside, just blowing right through the blocker on him, the tight end. Lorick, wow. Abiamiri just blow through him.
4th sack of the game.
Boy, I mean, Laws was talking about the sack reel they watched this week of Stanford quarterbacks.
That's 19 the last 3 games. That one went a mile high off the toe of Ottaveggio and out of bounds before West could field it. Good field position for the Irish after only a 27-yard punt. Long day for Edwards. 3 long touchdown drives accounting for the Irish 21 points today. Notre Dame and Stanford brought to you by Dell. 5.5 minutes to go, third quarter. It's 21-3. Samardzija in motion. Quinn, a first down pass. Complete as the defender fell, and then McKnight fell. Osai fell down, enabling McKnight to make the 14-yard catch, and then before he could get any more, he fell.
And I'll tell you, that long out route to his left. I mean, this is a long throw, and he just throws a rocket. And, you know, McKnight, who's so quick after the catch, he thinks he's going to beat Osai to the end zone.
Just past Jim Seymour for second all-time in career receptions. Walker adds to his rushing total with a 9-yard gain.
Well, Tom, let's go back and look at his last touchdown. Kind of interesting. First of all, some terrific blocking. 5 good blocks out in front of Darius Walker. And then 2 defenders that he has to beat, and indeed he's going to do that. He's just going to split those 2 guys. So the 5 blocks, he takes care of the last 2, and he's thinking about the music in his head as he goes to the end zone.
He got 9 yards on that last carry, and you see his total for the game. Here he is again. Little hesitation move, cut to the outside, spun to the turf after he picks up a first down by Brandon Harrison.
Well, we had a nice conversation with Brandon Harrison, number 23 for Stanford this week, and you know, we asked him, he's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What do you miss most about Baton Rouge?
Oh, that southern cooking of his mom, of course.
His mom, Isabel, he was saying great cook. Let's watch Darius Walker do his thing again. But
his teammates kind of like it too when she comes to visit.
Yeah, if 15 to 20 people she hosts at the hotel there in Palo Alto, has them all over for cornbread, fried chicken, all that kind of stuff after the games.
Brady Quinn changes the play on first down. Fake it to Walker, and Quinn winds up, and Samardzija nearly snagged it, incomplete.
Well, those are the ones you almost expect Jeff Samardzija to make, because he's made so many of them over the last year and a half. Once again, the frozen rope there by Brady Quinn. Would have been a tough catch, but, you know, you expect Jeff Samardzija to make them. I know he expects to. The Stanford defense needs a turnover that counts this time, or an interception that counts this time.
They also need some help from their offense to give them a rest occasionally.
Yeah, well, Notre Dame's up. They've had the ball 21 minutes of this game already.
Play clock ticking down, and timeout taken by Brady Quinn. The play clock was at 1, so he's forced to burn the timeout. First of the half. They're up 21-3. There's the NBC chime on the Notre Dame xylophone. Notre Dame and Stanford brought to you by Dell. 21-3 in third. And time for our Liberty Mutual Legends of the Game. First ever meeting between these two teams in the 1925 Rose Bowl. Both squads undefeated. Newt Rockne coached Notre Dame. They were 9-0, led with the Four Horsemen. And they faced a Stanford team that was 7-0-1, coached by Pop Warner and featuring Ernie Nevers. Game dominated statistically by Stanford, but Notre Dame's Elmer Layden tuned into memorable performance, rushed for a touchdown, returned 2 interceptions for TDs as the Irish won 27-10. The final appearance for the fabled Four Horsemen of Notre Dame, and Ernie Nevers in that game for Stanford played all 60 minutes, rushed for 114 yards. That came only 10 days after having casts removed from 2 broken ankles.
I think it capped off a great season for the Irish in their first national championship.
Yep. Some great names, huh?
Best.
Newt Rockne, Pop Warner, the Four Horsemen. Brady Quinn to Darius Walker. A couple of present big names for the Irish.
Indeed, indeed. And how many ways can he hurt you? Boy, you know, that's 5th catch now, 40 yards receiving and 118 yards rushing. You know, just securing the ball. One thing he hasn't done particularly well today is kind of pass block. He's got run over a couple of times.
You caught it. You exposed him on a couple of those, didn't you? Carlson lined up in the backfield, kind of at the fullback spot. He's normally tight end, standing next to his in a stance next to Walker. He gets the handoff. Takes it to about the 16, where he's tackled by Will Powers. And we remind you, NFL action coming your way tomorrow night, starting at 7 o'clock with Football Night in America, and then 8 Eastern on NBC. The champs and the Chargers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and LaDainian Tomlinson and the San Diego Chargers. Football Night in America starts it all at 7 o'clock here on NBC.
And Phillip Rivers off to a nice start in his pro career for San Diego. So, he was at North Carolina State.
Yes. First down Irish, 17 of Stanford. Walker carrying would-be tacklers with him and securing the football again.
Carlson, the back there for the lead.
Chris Horn first to hit him. 79 rushing yards in the half, and Darius Walker now up to 129 for the game.
And this is what, Charlie Weis does when he gets that lead. He just kind of milks that clock like very few guys. And he's got the horses to do it.
Right.
I mean, he'll throw the short passes, let him break a tackle, just keeps moving the chains, feeds the ball to Darius Walker. Next thing you know, not only you're down by 2 or 3 scores, you just don't have enough time to come back.
Here's the updated time of possession inside the final 2 minutes of the third. Walker, nice defensive play by Tim Sims.
He's had a nice game, hasn't he, Tim Sims? We haven't seen him in a while, but early in the game, he had a couple of tackles for losses.
Senior from Belgrade, Florida. Got in the backfield and met Walker as soon as he had the ball.
If Stanford's going to have any kind of chance, they need a good defensive play right here.
It would come on third down and long.
There's a guy that generally is going to lead the defensive charge, Michael Oakland.
Notre Dame has converted, as you saw, 6 of 9 on third down. Quinn, nowhere to throw it. Finally finds a little seam intended for McKnight, but there wasn't much room there, and it was good defense by Osaisai.
Yeah, you're right. I think Osaisai, for the second time today, prevents a big play, potentially a touchdown. Then we blocked the one away from Samardzija early in the game, this time from McKnight. So Wopana Osaisai, great play.
Just broke on the football, batted it away. Carl Joya will attempt the field goal, 35-yarder. He's hit 2 of 5 this season. Bending through the uprights, good. And Joya hits the three-pointer. With 1:02 on the clock, third quarter, it's now 24-3 Irish. Just over a minute to go in the third. Walt Harris in his second year in Palo Alto, second year as the head coach on the farm. And Stanford, of course, has had some of the great names. We saw Pop Warner a moment ago in that highlight. Walter Camp, of course, Bill Walsh and Dennis Green in more modern times. Jim Fossil, Jim Mora, George Seifert, Dick Vermeil, a youthful Dick Vermeil, and Mike White. Some great coaches have been at the farm.
Well, they've had some great athletes up there in the farm, not just football players, but just about every kind of athlete you can think of, from Tiger Woods on down.
Ryan Burkhart will boot it. Jones backpedals, goes out of the end zone for a touchback.
I think they may have found a kickoff guy.
Yeah, Burkhart has booted it after the freshman Nate Whitaker got the first attempt today and came up just a little short. Meanwhile, Brady Quinn, who holds 30 Notre Dame passing records, is closing in on 10,000 career passing yards. He already holds the total yardage record for the Irish. He had 97.38 coming in. He would be the 32nd passer in college football history to exceed 10,000 yards through the air.
Well, he had 1,500 of them against Purdue.
How many did you have, by the way?
Well, if you count all the drop ones, I had about 11,000 and add those yards.
You and Trent can compare notes after the game on the drop ones.
But think about Brady Quinn. He's had almost 1,500 yards passing in 4 games against Purdue. And just to give that perspective, last year Rice was, I think, had 1,100 yards for the season, which was the worst in Division 1A. And he's had 1,500 yards in 4 games against Purdue. It's just a remarkable. It's gotten better every year.
The Purdue coaches were telling us that his first start was against Purdue, and that they knew he was going to be in a quarterback when they kept hitting him, and he kept playing. He said he knew he was going to be tough and a star quarterback, and he has proven to be that now in his senior year.
And an awfully good leader. I mean, I don't think there's anybody on their team that works any harder. His preparation, I think, is the key.
All his teammates praise his preparation. We were talking to his backup quarterback, Evan Sharpley, and he said he's been inspired by watching Brady operate, not only in the physical aspects of the game, but in the way he prepares meticulously for each game. That's the end of the third quarter. Irish up on Stanford 24-3. And we'll return to Notre Dame Stadium right after these messages from your local NBC station. You're watching Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Dell. Score by quarters there, Notre Dame and Stanford. Today's game brought to you by Dell. And one of our favorite moments at a Notre Dame game, the end of the third quarter, where Tchaikovsky's 18-12 overture is played for the fans here at Notre Dame Stadium, and the Irish sort of finding their stride here in the second half.
Well, you know, Brady Quinn's been, again, really efficient with 6 different receivers have caught in the ball. And for Stanford, Trent Edwards started off with so much promise. Went 5 for 5 in that opening drive, 2 of 8 since then, so it's really kind of, he's really cooled off.
He has the ball now with a first down just over the Stanford 30-yard line. Opening play of the fourth quarter. Hand off to Kimball. Anthony Kimball bursts free. Touchdown saving tackle by Ray Herring, who is playing safety today in place of the injured Tom Zibikowski. But Kimball ripped off 13 yards.
Absolutely. That was an absolute touchdown if Ray Herring doesn't stick his nose up there and make this play. Good cut and good vision by Kimball. And then a good tackle by Ray Herring.
Torian Smith, the freshman linebacker, was in for that play, but immediately comes out and Brockington returns. Toss to Kimball. He's going to throw it. And here it is. Just run under it. And he has it. Kelton Lynn, touchdown. Touchdown pass by Anthony Kimball to Kelton Lynn.
Well, you know, Tom, interesting. This is the second time in, 3 weeks they've been victimized, the Irish, by a trick play. Here's Kimball up here. Again, both defensive backs just kind of came up on the pitch. I mean, they really bid on that one. So well designed by Walt Harris. And if the field were the end zone were 3 yards further, he wouldn't have got there. That was beautiful form there. It looked like he was throwing the shot.
It did look like a shot put. It just hung up there, though, for Lynn to run under it. 57 yards. And without Zibikowski in there, they picked on Herring. And the extra point by Zagori is good. Well, Kimball adds a touchdown pass to his resume. And it makes the count 24-10. Anthony Kimball throws a touchdown pass to Kelton Lynn. Halfback pass. And Bill Lewis, the secondary coach, letting Shinadum Ndukwe have an earful and then some, as the two safeties, Ndukwe and Herring, were victimized, nowhere to be seen on that touchdown pass.
Well, remember they gave up an 88-yard touchdown pass last week to Purdue that Charlie Weiss was not happy about, and Michigan State threw a halfback pass against him for a touchdown as well.
Derek Belch will kick off. And Walls from the 10. Crosses the 20-yard line where the Irish will take over. 24-10 now in the first minute of the fourth quarter.
Give Walt Harris some credit here, having his team really kind of hanging in there with, as he said, you know, we don't match up with their speed and athleticism, but boy, it was a trick play there. His defense has played hard. They've had their moments, you know, a few drop passes, but
well, they have played hard throughout too, and I think that's the first thing he wanted to see.
But you know, they've had so many injuries, and there's nobody in that junior class. You know, they have some seniors, they've got some good freshmen and some good sophomores, but Well, there's a whole class missing there for Stanford.
But you know, an 0-5 team can lose its enthusiasm in a hurry and not play hard all the time, sort of give up, and they have not done that.
Yeah.
Darius Walker dragged down at the 30-yard line.
You know, it's interesting, Tom, as we talked to some of the Cardinal players this week, and, you know, said, hey, you know, this is not the way we saw this season go. We didn't think we were going to start 0-5, but they weren't hanging their heads. They said, we got to just set new goals. Every game is a new challenge, a new opportunity. Oakway was talking about, hey, you know, my goal is to get some 3 and outs, and other guys were saying, hey, this is a chance for me to improve and play better this week than I did last week.
Quinn with all afternoon to throw, and finally finds Walker out of the backfield for a touchdown, not touchdown, a first down at the 35-yard line. Mike Silva, the Stanford tackle, as we look at our Lincoln scoring drive. It was a quick one.
How about here you get a chance to look at Kimball, and then it's 3 defensive backs. Watch how they just bite on this. And that's why you saw Bill Lewis kind of getting in the ear of Ndukwe. Whoops, look what's behind me. And it was kind of a half pass, half punt that Kelton Lynn ran under for the touch.
Quinn on the run finds David Grimes for the completion. First catch of the game for Grimes as Trent Edwards watches from the sideline as he saw his running back Kimball throw the touchdown pass. 4-play drive, it covered 80 yards.
And once again, a no huddle for Charlie Weiss's team. Anytime I think he feels his team in a little lethargic mode, he just tries to change the pace, even with a 24-10 lead.
Second down play is a handoff to Walker with a big gap on the left side. Then it closes down, but still he has enough for first down yardage.
Well, he's just a change mover, isn't he? I mean, whether he's a receiver, he caught a pass to pick up a first down a moment ago. That time he picks up a first down on the ground. Really had his best all-around game this year. I mean, we talked about how well he played in their opener against Georgia Tech when he had 99-yard rushing, but really was the difference maker in the game.
136 yards rushing so far today. 12 minutes left in the game.
And Notre Dame's had 3 very long and time-consuming drives for touchdowns in this game.
Brady Quinn through the hands of McKnight and incomplete.
Bullet out to his left. Catchable, a little bit behind it, but catchable, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
The guy of McKnight's ability.
Well, you got on him in a hurry, and he turned around to get it.
Most of Brady Quinn's throws do get on you in a hurry because they got some juice on them.
Blitz shown by Stanford's defense, so Quinn backs out, identifies the middle linebacker, changes the play. Handoff to Walker, bouncing to the outside. Can't turn the corner. Shoestring tackle made by
It was Clinton Snyder.
Snyder, yeah, number 20.
Remember when A.J. Christoph was talking to us about Clinton Snyder, he said, hey, we've never had a guy here that chases down plays like Clinton Snyder. And he's going to come from the left part of the screen and chase this one down. Nothing but effort by Clinton Snyder. Makes a shoe top tackle. And they think he has a big-time future ahead of him. Only a sophomore. One of those guys they hope to build on not only this year, but the next couple of years.
Snyder got a handful of jersey. And meanwhile, third down for Brady Quinn, who has not thrown back-to-back incompletions the entire game.
What time?
And hauls it down and ducks out of bounds. That's a late hit. That's a foolish play by the Stanford defense. It was Oakwood.
For a bunch of smart guys, which most of these Stanford players are, you just have to know anytime a quarterback's near that boundary run out, if you touch him, even if it doesn't look like a violent hit, they're going to throw a flag. They're absolutely going to throw a flag.
Play was over, dead ball, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, number 55 in the defense.
So instead of a
penalty,
punt,
15 yards for the run, also is an automatic first down.
Instead of a punt, it's a first down, right?
Yep. He put his head down, Oakwood did, and into the legs of Quinn, but he was already
great coverage
in the white, marking the out of bounds.
Yeah, look at it. It's don't know where to go. Everybody's covered. And instead of the punt, as I said, another set of down for Brady Quinn.
And advances the ball to the Stanford 33. blitz for a moment, so raised up again. And goes for the end zone. And, oh, nearly intercepted. It went off 2 Cardinal players.
Osisa.
Intended for Carlson. And Osisa had a chance at it, and so did Hooper.
That's 3, potentially touchdown plays that Osisa, number 31, knocks away. And because John Carlson was open, but Osisa almost gets there, and then Trevor Hooper, who had an interception last week off a tip ball in the end zone against UCLA, almost makes it 2 in a row. That guy's had a nice guy in the game, Osisa.
Now 2nd and 10. Blitz. Draw play to Walker. Across or inside the 30.
Nice blocks there by Dan Santucci and Ryan Harris on the left side as they kind of pulled and led the way for Darius Walker as he grinds it out.
Acom Udofia with the Stanford hit.
Watch number 50, number 68 in the left part of the screen doing their thing. John Carlson as well. As I said, you get a hat on a guy, and then Darius Walker is going to make the right read and right cut.
3rd down. Empty backfield for the Irish. 5 wide receivers.
Usually means a very quick pass when you have an empty backfield.
Stanford looks like they're coming, and they are. Picked up by the Irish, giving Quinn plenty of time to find the open man, McKnight, to the 11-yard line. Tackled by Nick Sanchez, but a 1st down Irish, gain of 16.
Superb protection, would you say?
Yeah.
Absolutely superb protection. Picking up the blitz, these guys up front, Morton and Sullivan, and Young and Harris. And just all day long. Wow. Surveying the wine menu there and kind of picking out the best vintage.
What did he get? A nice cab? Or?
He did. Nice cab, and found Raymond McKnight.
So Brady Quinn now just 32 yards away from 10,000 in his career passing yards. Walker.
There's music playing.
Yeah. Still no signal. Nope, they went on mute there just for a minute. Foot short. Lofton and Hooper prevented the score.
I tell you, this offensive line's kind of in rhythm now. Again, Santucci and Sullivan and Morton inside. And then a real determined run by Darius Walker.
Most of them are.
Well, yeah, what a nice block there by Santucci and Morton. One of them right on Oakwold. Their best defensive player.
They can get a 1st down without scoring a touchdown, so they're measuring now to see if indeed it will be 1st and goal, and it will.
How about that? Well, last week he had 219 total yards. Last year against Stanford, he had 241 total yards.
153 of that total on the ground today.
And, 1st down after 1st down, and possession and clock moving.
Power formation. Marja in motion. Fake to Walker. Brady Quinn has it. Has Carlson snags with one hand.
Why use 2 when you can do it with 1? Efficient use of his arms. And remember a couple of weeks ago they ran that same play and Brady Quinn slipped and overthrew a wide open John Carlson. This time he wasn't wide open, but a terrific catch by Carlson.
And his family with a celebration down for the game from Minnesota. His dad was his offensive coordinator in high school, and his head basketball coach. John was a good basketball player as well. Looked like a basketball player. They're palming that ball as he put one big paw around it in the end zone for his 2nd touchdown of the season. Notre Dame football is brought to you by the new 2007 Lincoln Navigator. Lincoln, reach higher. By Sirius Satellite Radio, the best radio on radio. By Powerade, sport is what you make it. And by Xerox, helping your business grow with technology, document management, and consulting services. The Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear Tires, featuring triple tread technology with 3 separate tread zones for peace of mind in any weather.
Brady Quinn has been awfully hot today, and let's have another look at the touchdown, see what happened to John Carlson, the tight end, who made a brilliant catch from that throw. He's lined up right down here. Now all the action kind of goes this way, and then he slips right out there, and Brady Quinn just kind of heaves it to him. But a wonderful catch by John Carlson. Really getting his first year as a starter. You know, he came in with, you know, averaging 16 yards a catch. A big guy that can get up the field.
That was a career high 6 receptions for him so far today. And Brady Quinn still closing in, inching closer to that 10,000-yard mark.
You're really interested in this, aren't you?
I like to document historic things. Ryan Burkhart boot is a short one, taken by Jason Evans. Evans dropped at the 30-yard line, where the Cardinal offense will take over. Bruton and Herring, the special teams tackle, as Carlson scores the touchdown. Let's go to Lewis.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, John, seeing you here in awe, I guess, of what you saw. But, you know, you coached him so much early in his life. Did you ever imagine you'd be standing here at Notre Dame Stadium and watch your son score a touchdown?
No, I really never did imagine that. That was a pretty exciting time right here.
Joe, Mom, what's it like to see him score here?
Unbelievable. It's a dream to be in such a wonderful setting, to see your son do such an outstanding job. You know, it's really exciting.
Dad, did you try and gear him toward football, or you just sort of let him find his own way? How did that work out?
Well, actually, I was the head basketball coach, so I was always a little partial towards basketball, but I think, you know, we kind of let him go his route. He's kind of made more as a tight end than he is a Division I basketball player.
Exactly. And so now that when the game is over, you go down, and if you all win, how do you celebrate this touchdown and a possible win?
Well, I can't tell you everything we do. We just go out as a family and a lot of friends and just enjoy the day. Win or lose, we just enjoy the time with John.
All right. Well, enjoy the game, folks. I know you will after that.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom.
All right, Lewis. 2 straight carries by Anthony Kimball, who's had a good game for the Cardinal, throwing the touchdown pass on their last possession and rushing for 63 yards on the afternoon. By the way, in case you're wondering, through a 57-yard touchdown pass, Kimball's quarterback rating would be over 900.
That's going. He's had a really efficient game, Anthony Kimball, and then just kind of settling in as a running back. But boy, he's got some burst, and he's pretty strong too. Almost 200 pounds.
3rd down for the Cardinal. Trent Edwards chased from the pocket. Abby Amiri after him. No, it's not Abby Amiri. It was.
Now it is Abby Amiri.
Now it is, yeah. Knew he'd show up sometime. And he throws it away.
Well, there's the flag.
There's the late hit. Chris Fromm was the one that was chasing Trent Edwards until he went the other way, and then Abby Amiri caught the scent.
You eventually got it right. Yeah.
See, impression. I see these things, you know, before they happen, Pat. Maurice Crum Jr. will be guilty of the late hit. And
Roughing the passer, defense. Number 40, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Again, those are bonehead plays.
Yeah. Charlie Weiss will have something to say about that. Up at the top of the screen up here is Abby Amiri. Now he thinks, hey, I'm not going to have a play. And then Trent Edwards right back into him. Very athletic play by Trent Edwards just to stay alive.
Ooh, and there's the late hit.
You think that was late?
Yeah, I do.
He was still in bounds. It looked like
Charlie Weiss does.
Yeah, well, he got called.
That's what counts.
It looked like he was in bounds when he got hit.
Crum out of the game, and Torian Smith replaces him, the freshman from Rome, Georgia. The tailback, Gerhardt, plows ahead for a couple of tough yards.
Torian Smith or somebody was trying to pull that ball out of Gerhardt's arms. We talked about freshman running backs. I think it's the hardest thing is that ball security, because in high school they don't go after you as much like they do here. But he held on to that one. Watch how the guys try to strip it.
Yep.
He has 99 tally. He's just trying to get that left arm on the ball and see he gets both hands on it. Good play by Gerhardt.
He's learning his craft in the college ranks. From the I formation, Edwards changing the play as the Irish threaten blitz. Gerhardt bouncing to the sideline. Dragged down by Anthony Vernaglia, and he just jerked him to the turf without grabbing a face mask.
Yeah, good speed and good play by Anthony Vernaglia. Charlie Weiss was saying a few weeks ago about Vernaglia is pretty good in open space. It wasn't a face mask, just grabbed him around the shoulder pad. So another 3rd and long for Trent Edwards, and what do you watch out for? Number 95, right? Victor Abiamiri.
Maurice Crum has returned to the Irish lineup, and Maurice Richardson is in as well. He's the pass rushing specialist.
Abiamiri right down here at the bottom of the defensive line.
Edwards scrambling. Trent Edwards short of the first down. Maurice Crum grabbed him from behind.
You know, as I said a little bit earlier, I just have a great deal of admiration for Trent Edwards. Just the kind of way he carries himself, how dignified he is, and your senior year, hoping for the best, 0-5, everything collapsing around you. But now once, have you heard him, read about him pointing the finger.
4th down and 2, they'll go for it. That failed 3rd down the last play. Stanford converted their first. They're 0 for 7 since, so they're going to go for it on 4th down here. Edwards, a 4th down pass. In the pocket, he is sacked. That pocket collapsed. Landry was putting on a push. Vernaglia was there as well. A lot of blue shirts around him.
Yeah, take your pick. There's number 66. Derek Landry just kind of split the block. And I'll tell you, the secondary really did their job. Watch how good they are in the defensive backfield. They're just not a lot open. You know, covered there, and there, down here. And had to hold it way too long. Allows Derek Landry to get there.
5th sack of the day. That means 20 given up by Stanford in their last 3 games. 31-10. With 5:10 to play, 31-10 Irish. And don't forget, once today's game ends, visit NBCSports.com for the live Vonage Notre Dame postgame report. All the info you need to wrap up the game. And our favorite, the Charlie Weiss press conference, live press conference. You can get the head coach's take on how the game unfolded. Always entertaining and informative. Full game replays as well. Pat will have some words of wisdom for us. We'll have some words for us. And that's all at NBCSports.com, the Vonage Notre Dame postgame report.
It always amazes me in his postgame report how, you know, he talked about being meticulous, how meticulous his postgame report is. He'll go down through special teams, then offense, defense, penalties. Remembers everything that went well and even more so what went badly.
He's meticulous about everything, isn't he? Brady Quinn still in there. 1st down handoff to Manir Prince. Nowhere to go. No place to hide. Lofton and Snyder wrap him up. David Lofton's had a pretty good game. We mentioned the son of our friend James Lofton. I did a few games with him, Pat. He was big into track and field as well as football. David Lofton's dad, James, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And this was a special moment in August of 2003 as David presented his dad to the Hall of Fame. How can you hold back the tears in a moment like that? And when he finished his remarks, big embrace, father and son. Prince can't get outside to use that blazing speed. Clinton Snyder hopped on his back.
See what the coaches like, and the Stanford coaches like so much about Clinton Snyder. No matter what the score, what the down, he just kind of runs hard and makes play after play. Really a good chaser, as they said. Just a great pursuit.
Darius Walker on the sideline with Prince getting some playing time. What a game he had.
Well, 186 yards in 2005 rushing. This year he's got 153 yards rushing against Stanford.
So the top 2 rushing games of his career against the Cardinal defense. And total yards receiving and rushing today at 198. Ball tipped and incomplete. I thought I saw a takedown in the middle of that Notre Dame line, but no flag. So 4th down for Quinn and the Irish. There's the
Reitzstedt.
Pass deflection.
Gustav Reitzstedt.
He's from Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden.
And they have players from 3 different countries and 26 states to Stanford.
Chris Hobbs tries to field the Price boots. Dancing around, but can't get free.
Was that John Carlson who made that tackle? I think it was. Big old John Carlson. How about that?
Downfield in a hurry, yeah.
Playing the first teamers on special teams. That shows you a coach really pays attention to what goes on special teams. Just isn't treated as an afterthought.
And there's Carlson, the first man to hit him. Big number 89 twists him down. Up in the stands, his dad is real happy. Band of the Fighting Irish. Of course, the alumni band was here today as well. The Stanford band was not. Stanford band is still banned. Maybe even banned at home these days.
They are. There's Victor Abiamiri. What a day he has had. Collected 3.5 sacks of the 5 total and 4 tackles, and he's done it every which way. Remember that old Newt Rockne video we always see? Inside, outside him. That's what you're going to see from Victor Abiamiri. He went inside him, he went outside him, went all over. That's just kind of a strength rush. Just kind of threw the tackle. Jeff Edwards away. Watch the quickness on this one. A little outside move, then right back inside. Again off of Jeff Edwards. And then off the corner, a real quick inside move off a tight end to try to slow him down. So those are the 3 sacks. Had a half of another sack. And a smiling Victor Abiamiri. That's 7.5 sacks he's had the last 2 years against Stanford. He wants to play him in a bowl game, I think.
Coach Weiss had him watching tapes of Michael Strahan and his pass rushing techniques over the summer. New quarterback for Stanford. It's backup T.C. Ostrander replacing Trent Edwards. And on the slant, he finds Kelton Lynn for a Cardinal first down.
It was T.C. Ostrander really who brought the Cardinal back last year and actually had them in the lead just over 2 minutes, and then Brady Quinn did his magic. But
it was 31-30. A false start, it looked like, on the left tackle, Ben Muth, who's in there, as Stanford gets some of the backups some playing time here at Notre Dame Stadium. There's Ostrander. This is the 4th game in which he has played this season. He's hit 5 of his 11 passes.
Offense. Number 76, 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Walt Harris was talking to us this week about T.C. Ostrander. He said, you know, this guy can really play. I'm a very good player. Excited to have him back next year for a season, another season.
That one deflected.
Travis Lightgo, number 91, yeah. 6'7".
And Ohio State, the top team in the land, continues to roll along. SC having a tussle from Ty Willingham's Washington team. Florida and LSU hooked up in a good one. So are Texas and Oklahoma. Stanford getting backups in. The second string offensive line. Muth, Simpson, Clover, Brewer, Marinelli. Ostrander, good protection. I don't think he had to scramble, but he does and makes a completion out of it. Nice play by Ostrander. It's caught by Austin Yancey. That's a gain of 16.
A great protection that time by T.C. Ostrander. And always kept his eyes downfield and finally found his freshman receiver, Austin Yancey.
It is a first down. Our 1st and 10 line today brought to you by Xerox as the play is whistled dead.
Dead ball. False start. Offense number 79, 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Ismail Simpson. And there's that first down line presented by Xerox. Clock down to 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Tough hit on Ostrander as he scrambles. That was Maurice Crum Jr. that laid the wood to T.C. Ostrander.
Yeah, those one of those plays we watch the tape tomorrow. Walt Harris going to say, make sure you slide, T.C. No sense at this point in the game.
And another flag. I think the second string line having problems. That's the 3rd false start. With 2 minutes and 1 second, and 31-10 Notre Dame, but Stanford did not disgrace themselves today. Ostrander's pass. Crum intercepts.
Well, he almost had one earlier. Remember the one he dropped that he would have scored on? This one he did actually a little tougher play for Maurice Crum.
Well, they had a questionable late hit that cost him a penalty earlier. Makes up for it with this interception.
He kind of stays with it.
Crum, the second leading tackler for the Irish, has a sack, a forced fumble, and now an interception this season.
You know, he's a guy that's really good in open space. I mean, a good tackler, but, you know, 222-pound guy who can really move around in that in the defensive backfield.
Maurice Sr., his biggest critic, probably has a smile right now. Irish have a week off coming up, and then they'll be back in action here at Notre Dame Stadium in 2 weeks from today as they host the UCLA Bruins. Notre Dame and UCLA presented by Sirius Satellite Radio 2 weeks from today, Saturday, October 21st at 2:30 Eastern Time. 1:52 on the clock, and some new faces in the Irish lineup. Brady Quinn's on the sideline. His backup, Evan Sharpley, will be under center. Quinn finishes with 232 yards passing, 3 touchdowns without an interception. There's Sharpley, number 13. In the offensive line, Turkovich, Olsen, Chervanik, Mattis, and Carafel. Yateman and Ruland, a couple of freshman tight ends, are in. Freshman wide receivers, George West and Robbie Paris. And the highly anticipated debut of James Aldridge in the backyard, the freshman from Crown Point, Indiana, hobbled by injury to start the season, getting his first chance on the Notre Dame side. Here he is, and a rude greeting by the Stanford defense.
Yeah, James Aldridge is a guy that Charlie Weiss would like to have or develop into one of those pounders to kind of run out the clock at the end of the games. Big, powerful guy. But suffered from a knee injury. I think he got in a high school all-star game and just really has just come back. I see his numbers last year. We actually had live tackling drills for him this week just so we get a feel for being hit again.
And Augustine into the lineup here too as Aldridge gets the next handoff, uses his blocker well, and then pounds for an extra yard, which will get him the first down. He collided with David Lofton and kept churning ahead for the first. He covered 11 yards. Darius Walker watching from the sideline as we check out our Chevrolet players of the game. Darius Walker is the Notre Dame representative with 153 rushing yards and 45 through the air. Second biggest rushing day of his career. And Anthony Kimball of the Cardinal had a big day rushing the football and throwing a 57-yard touchdown pass. In recognition of their determination and outstanding play, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Chevy, an American Revolution.
Well, you can see why Charlie Weiss enjoys or is happy to have James Aldridge available to him. Just, you know, he gets in these situations where he has a special 4-minute offense. He likes to kind of run the ball, control the clock. And he's hoping that James Aldridge can be and develop into that guy that kind of seal wins.
Just 10 seconds left. And Aldridge on the final play of the game, barring a penalty. Well, Stanford acquitted themselves well. It was just a 7-3 game late in the second quarter before Charlie Weiss and the Irish blow it open in the second half with their superior manpower. And the 12th ranked Irish get their 5th win of the season against that lone setback, the loss to Michigan, here at Notre Dame Stadium. Charlie Weiss looking for, there he is, Walt Harris, the Cardinal coach. Both of them, of course, have NFL in their background. And exchanging a few words. And I think Walt Harris wanted to see his young players get this experience, wanted them to gain from it, and I believe they did, and they played hard the entire way. And as I said, it was just 7-3 late in the second quarter before Notre Dame got a touchdown just before halftime. Victor Abiamiri, a big game with 3.5 sacks for the Irish. So the final score of today's game, brought to you by Dell, was Notre Dame 31 and Stanford 10. And we'll be back in 30 seconds to hear from Coach Weiss, as well as a recap of today's game on the Vonage Notre Dame post-game report.
Welcome to the Vonage Notre Dame post-game report.
Back at Notre Dame Stadium, where the Irish have beaten Stanford. Let's go to Lewis with Coach Weiss.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, Coach, you moved your team to 5-1. Give me an idea of the sense of this win and the way things have played out today on all phases.
Well, there weren't very many possessions in this game. Because, we went on a lot of long drives in the game. I think for the most part, it was just your typical grinding type of win. So we got a lot of work to do.
You pleased with the way your team finished? I know that was important to you to finish better this week.
Yeah, other than a double pass that they hit for the touchdown, I thought the defense played well after the first drive of the game. And I think the offense was pretty methodical in how they played.
And finally, I know the coaching fraternity is tight. What do you say to a fellow coach that's 0-6?
Well, Walt Harris is a great coach, and he knows that his team is going to get good. It's just that, sooner or later they'll get everyone back and get some continuity going, and they'll win some games. He knows that. I don't need to tell him that.
All right, thanks, Coach, for answering those questions in the midst of the band.
Yeah, in the midst of the victory march. And now you see Jeff Samardzija and look at Zibikowski. There's Sullivan and Walker as they go over in front of the student section, and the band plays the alma mater. Nice moment as the players salute the students in front of the student section with the playing of the alma mater. Coach Weiss with his son Charlie Jr. at his side there as well. Pat, I think this is one of those games where both teams have something to be happy about.
Absolutely. I mean, Notre Dame averaged over 7 yards on first down. I think that kind of set up the down and distance for them. And for Stanford, I think their defense played particularly well in that first half.
Yep.
That the offense didn't generate enough to keep them off the field as much. And I think if Walt Harris can get some of those guys back that he's been injured, they do have a chance of being, somewhat competitive going forward.
Brady Quinn finished with a good day, just short of the 10,000-yard career passing mark. But right now he's down on the field with Lewis.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Well, Brady, what's it feel like to get to 5-1 now and continue to move this team forward?
Obviously this is our goal coming this week. Getting in this game, taking care of business, really moving in the bye week, getting people healthy, and coming back, getting ready for UCLA in a couple weeks.
Give me some of those particulars that you'll work on during the bye week offensively.
Same old, you know how it is. Fundamentals, techniques, and definitely timing of routes, and just more than anything else, again, getting people healthy.
How's the confidence for you right now as quarterback with this team?
I'd say pretty high, but it's always been pretty high. I have faith in the guys in front of me, and the guys around me are catching balls, and guys who are running it for me.
I guess you have some confidence in this guy, Darius Walker. Darius, what is it about you and Stanford? You have your two biggest career rushing days against Stanford.
Well, I don't think it's anything against Stanford. You see, I just wanted to come out and put out a good show for the fans and everything, man. That's all.
Now, as far as I saw, you didn't do that by yourself. There's some guys blocking for you up there. How do you ever repay these guys? What do you say to them when you go back to the locker room after a big day?
Give them a lot of love, and you say thank you. And then at the end of the year, what I like to do is take the guys out for some pizza on me.
So you're taking linemen out for pizza after a full year blocking for you, not steak, something else?
No, I take them out for pizza, and then I make sure that I save up the whole semester because I know they're going to spend a lot when we go.
All right, so what about you? You need some time to heal up a little bit during this bye week?
Well, it'd be nice to just get a chance to relax and get our minds right and just get our feet back under us.
Okay, and as you look forward to UCLA coming to town, what are your thoughts on them?
It's going to be nice. UCLA's a good team. They play real tough, and we just got to get get ourselves ready. Plus, it should be a big game for me because I'll be 21. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, congratulations. But I got to warn you, that pizza comment is on tape, and I don't think the linemen are going to settle for pizza. So good luck with that one, Darius. Tom.
All right, Lewis. He's an engaging young man, Darius Walker, who heard the music in the end zone as we saw that replay. Darius Walker had a big afternoon, 25 carries, 153 yards. That's over 6 yards a carry, including that touchdown. Had 6 receptions as well.
Yeah, we just talk about him running so much, but really a brilliant receiver. I mean, set the record last year for receptions by a back. Good cut there. You see his eyes always up, the great vision. He's got enough speed. He's powerful. And I'll tell you, the offensive line really gave him some early holes to kind of pick his way through.
198 yards of total offense for Darius Walker in today's game. And our Vonage postgame report, final stats.
Well, that's actually the rushing yards, 205 from Notre Dame. Well, it seems like a good number. Stanford actually held them way below their average, right?
And first downs, 29-14. The Irish dominating the stats as well as they did the game. But again, it was only 7-3 before the final drive of the first half. And the young Stanford team, which went through the first 5 games winless before they came into Notre Dame Stadium, really made it competitive through most of the game. So Brady Quinn with another 3-touchdown performance, finishing just shy of the 10,000-yard career mark, but still another big game. Before the Purdue game, Coach Weiss took his top receivers and Brady Quinn aside and said we need to work on the passing timing, and the timing is back.
Yeah, and that communication. Remember they talked about the communication, and again, just so efficient. You said 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It almost seems too easy. And Charlie Weiss called it a methodical performance by his offensive team, and it certainly was. And I think he's one of these guys that just does it so well so often. You expect it from him every single week, and just about every week, Tom, he delivers. Great catch there by Carlson, who's developing into another big threat for the Irish.
And the quarterback comparison today, Trent Edwards, 7 of 14, had 2 key drops, only 68 yards. And Quinn with the 3 touchdowns without an interception, 27 of 37, and once again spreading the ball around.
Yeah, 7 catches by Samardzija. Carlson had 6. McKnight had 5 to lead the way. So, those guys, that's what makes it so doggone difficult to defend. You say, oh, let's take the tight end away. Right. Well, you dump it out there, there's Samardzija. Then McKnight's jumping over your back to catch a touchdown, and then you dump one to Darius Walker. They just have a lot of ways of attacking teams.
Well, let's recap the Irish scoring in today's game. Now, on the first drive of the game, they went 91 yards.
Yeah, remember that play action fake? Darius Walker run the ball so well, so they fake it and throw it to Samardzija. Then a bullet right there to Raymond McKnight on the slant route from Brady Quinn. Good block by Ryan Harris. A couple of his teammates to spring Darius Walker for a touchdown, longest run of the year.
Here's my favorite.
Yeah. It's to be Mr. Carlson Sr.'s favorite as well. And Mom's.
John Carlson just wrapped a big mitt around it and hauled it in for the touchdown. And it was 31-10 as Notre Dame goes to 5-1 on the season, and a week off to get everybody healthy, and then back on the field against a UCLA team that you think is a bit of a threat.
Well, I think UCLA presents some interesting opportunities or possibilities for UCLA fans. They run the ball well so they can control the clock, keep it away from Brady Quinn. They rush the passer well. They have the second leading sacker in the country, and they got, I think, the country's best kicker if it comes down to a close game.
So that'll be in 2 weeks. There you see the remaining schedule for the Irish. UCLA will be in here on October 21st, 2 weeks from today, to face the Irish. And, of course, the game will be here on NBC. Then they'll play Navy in Baltimore, and North Carolina and Army will be the final home game, and then they'll finish up at Southern California. Final score, 31-10 Irish. Our Vonage Notre Dame postgame report continues on NBCSports.com, where you can watch Charlie Weiss and Walt Harris in their live press conferences. And a reminder again, in 2 weeks, the Fighting Irish back on NBC when they take on UCLA for the first time in 42 years. Don't forget, tomorrow night, the San Diego Chargers host the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. Tonight at 8, 7 Central, an all-new 2-hour Dateline NBC, followed by Law & Order SVU. So for Pat Hayden and Lewis Johnson, this is Tom Hammond saying so long from Notre Dame Stadium. You've been watching the Vonage Notre Dame Postgame Report.